So I'm a big fan of the Arkham games. You know those games where you play as Batman? And while playing through Arkham Origins for the purposes of review, I was thinking about what elements are actually intrinsic to Batman. And I think we all know the origin story of a young boy who sees his parents shot in front of him, usually by Joe Chill, but there's been a few different versions and variations on the Batman story over the years. And then, to work through his trauma, he decides he's gonna punch his way through the various criminals of Gotham City. But the thing is, he can only realistically do that if he comes from just an insane amount of old money. Because if we have that same situation play out with a couple of dead parents in front of a highly traumatized child, if the parents could just barely afford to live in an apartment, he can't dedicate his life to punching criminals. Because looking at the equipment Batman employs, there is millions of dollars on display here. So I'm just wondering, what would little Bruce have done had he not had, billions of dollars of inheritance to fall back on? Because I don't think he'd be Batman. I don't think he'd be a vigilante of any kind. I'm not even sure if he would have become a cop, because we don't know much about the extended Wayne family. I can't think of a single time there's been like a Wayne uncle or aunt that has ever been mentioned. So presumably, little Bruce, without the money, just goes into the foster care system, which that usually doesn't go well for anybody. And then he goes on to either a very pedestrian life, or even possibly one of crime, depending exactly how his experiences went as a young man. Also, it seems a little weird that even with the billions of dollars, that somehow his butler is his sole caretaker. Does a butler actually have any legal right to just take over the guardianship of their, employer's kid? I mean, I've never been rich enough to really be around butlers for any extended period, so I do not know anything about the protocol or legal precedents for butlers being around a family. But regardless, I think the fact that he enabled Bruce to waste millions of dollars to go out and fight crime in the most inefficient way possible means that he wasn't a very good guardian to little Bruce Wayne. Because I think a better guardian might have advised the billionaire he was taking care of to maybe use that money to improve the city. Because seriously, Gotham City has some wacky criminals in it. And I can understand taking up your standard criminal life, because sometimes your only option is a career in crime. But how desperate do you have to be before you start going out with some costume guy that has a really specific theme? Because that's not organized crime, that's just bizarre crime at that point. And maybe, just maybe, if the situation in Gotham was better overall, you wouldn't have people signing up to work for criminals that are quite literally insane. Because there seems to me to be a certain difference between working for, say, the Mafia or the cartels, and working for a guy who makes all of his criminal decisions based on a coin flip. Or a gentleman in a question mark themed suit that obsessively leaves clues at the scene of the crime. And yeah, we've drifted a little bit away from specifically the Arkham version of Batman here. But that's kind of the issue here, is that there's nothing specific to the Arkham games that's all that ridiculous. It's more stuff that's ridiculous in the Batman franchise as a whole. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, this is a franchise about a billionaire that goes out dressed like a bat to fight crime. And I just can't take that completely seriously, nor should anyone ever. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.